All right, take two, Electric Boogaloo. Let's try this again. Okay, hi, it's really good to see you again. Nope, we're not gonna start like that. It is really good to see you again, but you know. I used to make videos on here. I still do make videos on here, but I used to make videos on here too. No, actually the video title I wanted for this was, let me read it here. I made videos because I thought I was going to die. Now that's a little extreme, folks. But that's sort of the gist of this video. And you're probably wondering like, what is going on here? So let me just sort of explain what's going on and why I'm making this video. So to start, I would like to reintroduce myself. If you know who I am, that's so awesome. But if you don't know who I am, it's really nice to meet you. My name is Heather and my pronouns are she, her, and they, them. I used to make a buttload of YouTube videos. So many YouTube videos. And I want to kind of explain myself, where I've been, and sort of where I'm going. I feel like I've done this a couple times before, but this time I really feel like I'm going to stick with it. So I'm going to get into it. Here we go. So this YouTube channel has existed for about, I would say, 5 years now. And in the span of the 5 years of this channel, it was very focused on music. I would upload synthesizer videos. I would upload, guitar videos, bass videos. It was my music channel where I could show off, songs I knew how to play, all the cool, interesting things I was doing on analog synthesizers. But one day I decided to make the channel a bit more personal and share the extremely close and intimate details of my gender transition. If you haven't been able to tell already, I'm a transgender woman, so I'm making videos about being a transgender woman, or I've made plenty of videos, and that's what a lot of my content eventually began to sort of be centered around. And I want to explain sort of where those videos have gone. So those videos were very personal. I explained every little detail about what was going on in my transition, where I was before I started hormones, where I was once I got them, sort of updates every couple months on the changes in my body and all these different things. And they were very, in my opinion, informative and helpful videos because I detailed a lot of things going on in my transition. And those videos got a very positive response, especially from the LGBTQ community on YouTube. And it was really great. I was able to meet one of my best friends of all time, Nicole, on here. Shout out to Nicole. Hi, Nicole. I know you're watching this. And a bunch of other people. And these videos helped a lot of queer people connect to my story. Because if there's one thing that queer people really need, it's community. And a lot of times it's hard to find that community in person, especially in places that are not as safe as others. So they find it online. And for a lot of people, I was able to provide them with sort of an online sort of queer community focused presence. Now, those videos were very, very personal, and they talked about very personal things, changes in my body, thoughts and opinions I had on current events, as well as things that were very, very personal that I would like to still address in my videos, but they were very raw. And you're probably wondering, like, what does she mean by raw? I detailed my experiences with being sexually assaulted as an adult. And those videos helped a lot of people connect to my stories. And they were wonderful. But I privated all those videos. And despite the numbers that those videos did and the help that they did, I privated them. It was because I came out at my job after transitioning medically for 2.5 years. Now, a lot of people, when they come out at their job, it either is or it isn't that big of a deal. Mine was very unique because when I came out, there was a very sort of public response to it. I am a public educator and I work in the public education system. So when I came out, I was fortunate to get the support from so many people in my district, from the superintendent to my administrators to fellow, coworkers who were teachers and paraeducators. But there was a bit of an online public sort of backlash. And that backlash horrified me, basically, because it was the first time I'd ever encountered serious resistance towards myself and my trans identity in a very public way. Now, I was not harmed. There were just posts made about me from concerned parents who were not sure about their children having a queer educator in their child's life. Now, that was all the way back in August. I'm happy to say that I'm in April right now and I'm in much better circumstances at my job. Things are safer, but I wanted to private my videos because I did not want to have too much of an online presence for people to sort of pick at and take things that I have said out of context and use against me to harm me. So flashback to right now, things are so much better in my life. My transition videos started before I started hormones. I am like 3 years into hormones, and this is the peak of my life. Things have never been this good. I not only have so much love and support in my life, but I have a support system now that extends to people in my life who I never thought I would get this sort of love and support from. So I'm a very fortunate individual because I have the support from people who I didn't think I'd ever get. So things are much better these days, and things are a lot more relaxed at my job. There are less people that are questioning my motives as a queer educator, especially since coming out. I don't encounter any hostility in my life about being trans. Things are a lot nicer now, but I wanted to return to YouTube, and there's a very big reason for that. Because of the raw honesty of my YouTube videos, people were able to connect with my videos on levels that, I was able to connect to other trans YouTubers when I was early in my transition. I wanted to present this sort of raw honesty, this sort of portrait of myself where obviously I wasn't physically naked, but I was, in a sense, just becoming an open book and sharing so many details about my life. And people valued that, just as I value that on YouTube too, because that sort of raw truth helps people connect. It helps people cope and find community. I still want to make YouTube videos, and I still want my content to be centered around being trans. Now, there are going to be plenty of videos in the future that are going to be centered around me being trans, but they're going to be a little more nuanced. Part of my identity is that I'm a public educator, and I'm currently working to get my master's degree and my teaching credential. So I'm very much locked in to not only my identity currently, but my career as a public educator. I believe in public education, and I want to continue to work in public education. So I want to make videos that kind of highlight the experiences of being both trans and working in public education, as well as just other stories and experiences about coming out and acceptance and difficulties and transitions. I'd love to share it all with you once again. But I want to do it on my terms because as a public educator, we have sort of social media decorum that we have to follow, and I would like to make sure that the videos I make are a lot more, in a sense, cleaner for the internet. Not that my videos before were dirty and full of, vulgar language, but I'd like to present myself in a way that's a little more professional on the internet, but also can still share truths about my lives to help people sort of connect. Ultimately though, I'm making this video because of Barb Cardell. Now, Barb Cardell wrote for Pause magazine about her experiences as living with HIV as a trans woman, and how people with HIV in the 80s and 90s were known to write their own pre-obituaries. The reason why they wrote these pre-obituaries to sort of self-eulogize themselves is because they were fearful that when they were gone, and that when HIV turned into AIDS and ultimately took their lives, nobody would remember them and nobody would remember the positive impact they had on the world or their communities. That's why I made those videos, because I was very worried that at some point something was going to happen to me, or I was going to do something to myself, and nobody would ever really remember me for who I truly was. Now, being that I'm much more out in my career, my professional life, as well as my personal life, I can't be more out as transgender than this at this point. I don't really worry about my sort of lack of visibility, but it was Barb Cardell who shared her story living as a trans woman with HIV, and the pre-obituary that she wrote for herself and that others wrote, that made me realize why I did those videos. And I want to continue to make videos. I want to make videos that still resonate with people, that still help people connect sort of with community. So this is why I'm still here. This is why I'm still making these videos. I hope that these videos can just sort of help people like my past ones did. I'm not going to be putting my old ones back up. There's just a lot of things that I said, a lot of opinions I expressed, a lot of language that I don't feel comfortable with expressing publicly at this point. But I still want to make the videos and make the same level of content that garnered the small following that I had. I mean, I didn't have this like ridiculous YouTube following. You could see my subscriber count is currently like in the high 500s. It's not a lot for YouTube, but for me, that was the biggest online presence I ever had. So I had developed a very small online community, and I'd like to foster that online community as much as I can through my videos. So I think that kind of just wraps up everything about what I wanted to say in this video. If you would like to follow me on social media, all I have these days is an Instagram right here. This Instagram is just an art account where I share my photography. I'm very into film photography, and this is just an account that showcases sort of my interest with both, with film photography, street photography, and portrait photography. So if you want to follow me there, it's right here, but just please know it's not a personal account. So if you DM me asking me questions, be very unlikely that I'll get back to you, because I just use this to share the art that I make. I don't really like being on Instagram too much, but I do like using it as a tool to archive and share my art. But of course, I'll be making videos on here, and I'll be leaving my comment sections open, which was something that towards the end I didn't want to do because the bots were just killing the vibe for me. They were saying a lot of terrible things, and at this point I'm just going to be moderating a lot of my comments, but I do want these comments to be a forum for discussion for people to talk about their experiences, as well as find a way to sort of speak to me. I'm perfectly fine with speaking to you in a comment section. It's public and it's safe. Let's do it. Let's have a conversation. But that basically summarizes the video, and I think I'm just gonna end it here. But before things sort of come to an end, I wanna just point out that last year, at the end of last year, I made a TikTok account briefly trying to do the same level of content, but I closed it because I don't really like TikTok that much. I made like a transition timeline video based off my medical transition and my 3 years on hormones. So I'm gonna end the video with that. Please enjoy the video, and that should basically be it. Welcome back. It's good to see all of you, and I can't wait to make more videos. And please leave a comment, say something nice. Thanks for watching. Okay, I'm gonna go now. Bye. Yeah, so this included copyrighted music, and I don't want to get a copyright strike, so here we go. Director's commentary. There I am. Ooh, my hair looks Bang saved my life. That's all I'm gonna say, folks. Also, the color purple. Oh dear. Beanie, that was a look. Cute sweater. I still own that. There we go. Hair's looking a little better. Just please get bangs for the love of God, girl. Aw, look at you. Playing the bass. Eating the Korean barbecue. Cute. There I am. That's water, folks. And then look, here I am growing up. Yep, it gets better. Yeah, cool. Sorry there's no music. It was the Animal Collective song that I really like. I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, director's commentary. Thanks. Bye.